This video picks up from my final photo shoot in last week's video. The evenings are long and things move very slowly in Iceland at this time of year, so we can afford the luxury of exploration, knowing that any good photography conditions we may come across on our travels are likely to stick around. It's simply a case of driving the back roads and looking for any areas of interest, and it usually doesn't take long before at least one of us applies the brakes, eager to explore a location on foot. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, so if you're in need of a website, go to squarespace.com/Heaton. Notice how I'm kneeling down and setting up low to the ground. This is because of the strong and unpredictable winds. If you have been following along on this series from Iceland, you'll know exactly how easy it is to lose your gear to the elements.
Oh, jeez!
That was the sound of Thor's camera and tripod crashing to the ground. Luckily, it was his filters that took the brunt of the damage. Still, it was an expensive accident.
The view that I'm sat looking at now is phenomenal. Photographer's dream. Yet, strangely enough, it wasn't that I was drawn to. It was a patchwork of snow across 3 ridges. And I love the abstract minimalist nature of a photograph like this that I'm looking at now and that I'm about to take. You know, it really caught my eye. We've got beautiful reflected light from the colourful sky above us, and it's a really nice vignette of a huge landscape. So this really feels like my own, an image that's my own, you know, one that could have been taken anywhere, and I think that's quite nice. I think it's a good way to start this video, because no doubt I will grab the epic shot. But for now I want to marvel. I want to marvel in the beauty that is minimalist, as Thor, our Icelandic friend, keeps calling this type of photography. Minimalist. So I'm at F11, I've focused on the snow in the middle, you know, there's no science to it. And I just love the shapes, the contrast, the colour, the curves. It really love it. Really caught my attention. It's definitely not to everybody's taste, but I like it, and I think that's what's most important. So I'm going to take this image now. 2-second timer, f11, Fuji X-T3 at about 135mm. I don't know what that is in full frame terms. Probably 170 or something. Oh. Alright, here we go. Oh, yes, I should say it's a square image. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've got the Hasselblad, but it seems my default settings for this X-T3 are square. Here we go. I like it. Please leave your comments below. When the light kind of starts happening and colours, you know, clouds start to catch, compositions just form, you know. A shot can emerge where there was not a shot before simply because of a cloud catching a bit of light. And that's kind of what's happened here. Just behind me, the same hill, the same patch of snow I was just photographing with the X-T3 opened up as the clouds started to glow a lovely pink behind them, behind the snow, behind the mountain. So broke out the 501cm with a 150mm lens, which is the equivalent of about 85mm full frame. And again, very minimalist, abstract shapes, colours, no real subject, just experimentation, as it should be. And I love the horizontal lines of the snow here, and then the way it goes up to the lovely light brown hill that's kind of catching the light just there, and then above that was this one pink cloud. You can see it there. So I've taken 2 exposures, both at f11, one at half a second, one at 1 second, and again it's my my lack of confidence with film in general, which is multiplied by 10 when using Velvia 50. My images might be rubbish, this might be rubbish, but I don't care. Right now I'm really in the moment and enjoying it, so yeah. What a beauty. I really want to encourage just, you know, yeah, just having fun and getting experimental, which I think we can definitely say is true with the 2 shots from this video so far. So I've just had the satisfaction of completing my first roll of film. It's Velvia 50. I mean, who knows of the images on this roll, how many are going to turn out successfully, how many are going to be any good. I don't know. It's the fun. It's also the pain. But yeah, great evening. I didn't end up shooting anything that way because the light never really happened. It got very flat very quickly. But for the 2 compositions I did shoot, one with the X-T3 and one with the Hasselblad 501cm over this way on the snow, I'm optimistic that both images will hold a place in my heart, assuming that the Fuji Velvia 50 came out. So I think we're going to continue on exploring. It's getting dark now, but this is, oh, my knee. Ah, God. Oh, I was kneeling down on rocks. Oh. So yeah, this is probably about as dark as it gets here in Iceland at this time of year. So we're going to go off, explore, find new locations, and really try and continue with this momentum, because we're all being incredibly productive. We're blessed with beautiful scenery and great light. Yeah, let's just hope it continues. May it continue. And yeah, feeling pretty good right now.
The light continued to burn into the night, but I was unable to find any more subjects, so I would highly recommend that you go and visit the YouTube channels of Alistair Ben and Adam Gibbs, and the Instagram page of Thor, who are all with me on this trip. I'll link to them below, and you can see their take on this photography adventure. We drove into the night and back to our campsite to get some much needed rest so we could be energized for another day of landscape photography.
I think in this video, yeah, the images in this video have been quite super minimal, experimental, abstract, and you know, I quite like that. That was the total idea that I had when coming away. You know, I didn't want to shoot anything mega obvious. Now the setup I've got is my 6x6 square medium format camera with Portra 160, which is a film that handles bright conditions. And that's kind of what we have here, because today, this afternoon or this evening, is a very cloudless day. Not a cloud in the sky. And I think that really suits the landscape I'm shooting. A vast expanse of space, interesting textures in this black desert setting with this prominent lime green peak in the center. Now, I've already shot 2 images of this, or 2 exposures of this scene, both with different settings, both f16, one at 1/15th of a second, and another one at half a second. And now I've dropped in a 2-stop graduated filter. I'm going to do a third exposure at 1 second, but the problem is I can't fit my cable release into this camera with this filter holder on. So I've taken it off, so I'm gonna have to do this very, very carefully, make sure everything's locked down. But I'm interested to see how this is gonna turn out. You know, I really am not sure how it's gonna turn out. I haven't got a clue, but as I will keep mentioning time and time again throughout this series from Iceland, I'm here to learn, experiment, and just, you know, challenge myself. So I think this is a very simple scene. I think the film I've selected is gonna work well with these conditions. So here we go. 1 second with a 2-stop graduated filter, mirror lock up. Oh, I don't like doing this using my my trigger finger, but no choice. All right. What a beautiful place to be. Fantastic.
I was really happy with how this shot turned out, and it's actually one of my favourites from the trip. I ended up using the first exposure I took, as the other two had problems and issues that I have faced in the past when using Kodak portrait film. Make sure you tune in this Sunday as I dive deeper into the images from this video and go over the failed photos as well as the successes. You may have also noticed that I had my camera at head height. This is something I forgot to mention in the field, but I wanted to get as high as possible to emphasize those wonderful patterns in the foreground. After I took this photograph, I went off with my Fuji X-T3 in search of more compositions. I experimented with a couple of frames, but at the time I didn't think much of them, so I chose not to record the moment on video. Looking at the images, you can definitely see the influences of Adam and Alistair, who thrive when picking out areas of light, texture and detail. And it wasn't until looking at and processing these shots in Lightroom weeks later that I started to like them.
Well after sunset now, and we have that beautiful pinky purple glow in the sky, that hue which goes so well with the black sand and the green hill, with just a tiny, wait for it, there, a tiny peak in the background to hold it together. And I'm gonna load some Provia 100. So yeah, quite looking forward to this shot. I think it's definitely gonna be one for the square. You know, you definitely can't expect any epic grand landscapes in this Icelandic series. It's all about the minimal, the peace, the quiet, and I suppose the film. Having a great time. So it's really dark now, But I think that's great because it really brings out the beautiful blues and purples in the sky. Now, tricky exposure. Well, not really a tricky exposure, quite a simple exposure, but I'm at f16 and I've dropped a polarizer on. So in this low light at f16 and with a polarizer, I'm looking at an 8-second exposure. And I was worried that I was going to have to deal with reciprocity failure, which basically is when the film becomes less sensitive over time, and it usually kicks in after, just a few seconds on some films. But I've got an app on my phone, and according to the app, Fuji Provia has no problems at 8 seconds, so there's no need to worry about reciprocity failure. So I metered the scene and then added 1 2/3 exposure compensation to account for the polarizing filter, which is going to make this sky really pop and the colors even more saturated. Provia is a saturated film. So, right, I better get this shot actually because it's getting darker by the minute. I'm just going to use the stopwatch on my phone. 8 seconds. I'm just going to take out the dark slide, which is this. Mirror lock up. And 8 seconds. Oh. Yeah, I messed that up. Bloody thing on the wrong. Okay, I wasn't in bulb mode. That's a waste of a flipping frame. Oh god. Okay, f16, bulb mode, 8 seconds, mirror lock up. Let's try again. Alright, there we go, 8 seconds. Look at my hair, wild, just like my metering probably.
So this has been a lucrative couple of photo sessions for me, and it's rare that I will have as many as 6 images in a single video, but I feel as if my photography is taking a turn in direction as I start to look differently at the landscape. Thank you for sticking with the video for this long, and thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode. And if you've been thinking about building your own website to showcase your photography, it's well worth considering Squarespace. It is easy drag and drop system with great customer service, and best of all, even an idiot like me can do it. You simply drag and drop what you want, where you want it, and there's no coding, no HTML, and in fact, no experience necessary whatsoever. Just watch a couple of YouTube videos and you'll be away in no time. So if you do fancy that, then go to squarespace.com/Heaton and give it a free try. And if you like free trial, use the offer code Heaton for 10% off your first purchase. And remember to tune in on Sunday as we dive deeper into the images from this video and more.